Man, I love the intro music. I could just sit here and listen to intro music all day long.
It kind of gets me fired up too. I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah,
like almost like when you go to run and do a big run now, you can have that your playlist as you're going to do a big run. Like when you're going to put that in. Is
that something? Do you do that? Do you play music to get pumped up?
Well, I have on occasion, like for a bit there. Do you know Forrest Stanley? When we used to work creep ships with him, he'd always put. Well, I had a little iPod back then, and he would put playlists together. And he was really good at it, so it was actually really fun. It had a good mix of stuff as we were driving to put in, and it would kind of get you in the mood. Yeah, it was fun to rock out.
For Cherry Creek, that's kind of mandatory. You kind of have to have that music going in to kind of give you that swagger you need. You need the swagger and confidence. For the guests more than the river. Like you need
the guests weren't in the vehicle. This is just
but you have to step out of that vehicle, just feeling like you on the world. So when the guests show up, you have confidence and you can like give them a super confident talk and just like be the alpha.
Well, that's an interesting approach. I'm gonna say I think you guys you'd be surprised by what was on those playlists. It wasn't like it was a mix of different stuff, and then there was some stuff that was like maybe there was some Guns N' Roses Welcome to the Jungle type of thing in there too, but not just that. It was there was a range. It's a long drive to put in. You don't need to get all amped up and be all before you get out there.
There's a science to the perfect put in this playlist, right? Or when we drive to the Middle Fork, it's 3 hours. So you got to have a few playlists and you kind of like work your way up. And then, as you're driving down to Boundary, it sort of like slowly gets higher and higher. But then you don't want to show up to put in amped because you get there and there's all the, everybody's a put in. You don't want to walk out the car like you own the place. You got to like tone it down just before you get there to have some, what's the word? Just to be a little more modest or just to like be a little more centered. So you can step out of the van and be confident and say, hey, everyone, we're here. We want to, we're going to launch our boats, and we don't want to, you don't want to show up there cocky and full of testosterone.
Well, you also can't be all fired up because you could get there and just have to wait for a half hour or an hour. You'd be all like, raised, like, yeah, let's do this. And you get there and you're like,
you show up and you wait for a half hour, you're going to be amped, and you're going to try to move people out of the way, and versus just like you need to show up kind of mellow, but you want to get amped because you have work to do. But
yeah, totally. A good playlist is very helpful, I'll say, and it definitely makes the drives much more enjoyable. So,
well, Aaron, this week we have quite the show. We're going to talk about scouting and setting safety, and I have a couple of videos with me right now, but nothing like amazing. Is there anything? This was your idea for a topic. Is there anything you want to talk about in particular?
With scouting? Well, I started on a blog post about scouting because I just realized, like, teaching courses over the years, you just see people I don't think a lot of people know they get up, they know to go look at the rapid and I bring a throw bag. But after that, I don't, I don't know if everyone, if maybe where everyone knows all the same tricks, but I don't know. So I was curious to have a conversation about it, see what our viewers think and talk to you about it and get your perspective on scouting. I kind of just wanted to get a better idea of like how different people approach scouting and see, if there are some things that I'm missing from my scouting and can make it better.
Okay. I in preparation for this, I have a lesson plan for scouting that I use, and it's on our online course too. So I went to go look at the online course today and realized my video on the online course was kind of mediocre. And so I refilmed it this morning.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. And I actually did a gear garage about scouting as well. Cause I'm like, well, I have all the stuff. I might as well do a gear garage. So it's going to drop Sunday. So let me give you my spiel. If you want to hear what I think. And
can you show? Are we allowed to see some of the footage from your spiel right now, or do you not want to share that? Is this just
no? I don't want to watch video myself. That's for sure. But I have my board behind.
Whoa! We've watched so much wind video of you. Yeah. I can't believe you even said that.
No. But I don't want to watch video of me talking.
Oh, it's you
like
talking.
My own, I thought it was video.
I thought it was video.
No, it's video, but it's just a lecture. So the online course is a bunch of lectures, right? Okay. So it's not, so it's me sitting here saying, hey, here's what I think about, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like a gear garage. So I did I retaped our scouting things and then went and did a quick gear garage, which is like a synopsis of the online course. And I have this little thing here I can talk about in a second. Let me give you my spiel that we can talk about it.
Great.
I think people get worked up on like how to scout and what to do. And I feel like there's 3 things that are critical. And I would call like, what's the word for etiquette? I'm going to call it scouting etiquette, which I think this is the important thing, the etiquette. Number 1 is wear your PPE and bring a throwback. And maybe even bring water if you think it's going to be a long scout. So I think that's something people don't do all the time. So PPE, life jacket, helmet, bring a throwback. 2 is just being comfortable scouting. Like you should feel okay scouting. I think a lot of people feel ashamed for scouting or pulling everybody over. And so I'm going to say like when in doubt, scout. And if people don't scout and you want to, do it. Right. I think that's an important thing. And then what's so funny, Aaron?
I'll definitely say I've tried to like encourage people not to scout many times historically. When I think back when you say this is like, it's a good point. You really should. And Emily McGinty was one of my favorite people, and luckily she was very, hey, I want to scout. Because I'd be like, oh, we don't need to scout. And I used to like try to be like, oh, let's just go. And she's like, no, I want to scout. Yeah. And she never felt bad about it. And luckily she did, because I definitely would have like,
and not many people have that confidence.
I was like, I just want to get downstream. We got a lot of miles to do. Like, come on, let's just go.
Yeah. And so people get pushed into not scouting. So
totally.
I'm going to say like, it should be okay to scout. And if you're above a rapid and you have doubt, just scout it. Like it shouldn't take that long. Like, and my scouts, if you look, we'll talk about this. Like I'm all about like obstacles, markers, swimmers. It's pretty quick to like, see if there's anything dangerous. Is there a log? Is there something dangerous? And there are any obstacles? Markers, looking for like what my interest is going to look like, and then think about what happens with swimmers. So I can, pull over, take 5 minutes to scout, get back in your boats and go. It doesn't have to be a production. What happens is if everybody pulls over and everybody gets out and people are super slow, it can take a long time, and it would make me not want to scout. Like, hey guys, let's just bomb this because we don't have a 45-minute time frame. This is like 2 or 3 of us get out pretty quick, look for obstacles, look for markers, think about swimmers, and let's just go.
Well, I think that's part of the problem. And that's probably the reason I used to not like to scout is some of these people would want to sit and look at it for an hour. I'm like, you're just making things worse. You're not helping yourself at that point. Like it's like we know we're going to run it. So why are we staring at it for an hour, getting ourselves all tightened up and just like, go look at it and then let's go run it. Yeah.
But I think I want to make it okay for people to scout. So like wear your PPE, carry a throw bag, number 1. When in doubt, scout. Number 3 is be considerate on the eddy above the scout. Like don't just bring if you're 5 boats, don't just bring 5 boats and spread them up the shore, because if the next group comes down, they have to fit in between your boats, and then leaving is tough. And also like don't just kind of tie your boat up if somebody hits it and knocks it down the rapid. Like pull over. Take a smart spot in the eddy, right? Knowing that people have to leave that eddy, be thoughtful of other people coming down, and also be thoughtful of the boat order people are leaving. Like if you're going to go first, and if 3 boats blocked you in, right, for whatever reason, or you can't leave the eddy because of 3 boats, you're not going first anymore. And so a lot of times you're going, like if you're a lead boat because you're probably the most solid. And so like, being like, because you get to the eddy and you're like amped, like, oh my god, it's class 5, I'm gonna go scout this thing, and you get super amped. All you want to do is go look at the rapid. Where being thoughtful of the eddy up top for your group and other groups, I think is crucial.
Oh, totally. No, yeah, I feel like the eddy there's so many problems with the eddies. The eddy at the top of the rapid scouting, like that's and everyone's all geeked out and stressed out. It's kind of like being in a traffic jam or something like that, or being in traffic and people get upset and you're already stressed out, and like, be thoughtful with your approach. I think a lot of times, like as you say it, like with the eddy that you're ending up in, is kind of slow down in an eddy above there and regroup above there and have a plan before you come down to the eddy, so you're not just like all barging in there. And then maybe wait, depending upon like how many people are in the eddy. Like sometimes people are like, well, we're going to scout, we need to scout too. And it's just like, this is one of the reasons it's important to scout fairly quickly is other people are waiting for a chance to scout, and then you're taking forever. Yeah, they're going to come down. They're probably going to tie their boats off in ways that's going to make it difficult for you to get out because you're taking a long time. So, yeah, I like your obstacles, markers, and swimmers too. I totally agree with both.
Well, let's get to that. That's this thing. So, like, step 1 to me is etiquette. And I'm going to call this good scouting etiquette. when in doubt, scout, wear your PFD in your helmet and have a throw bag, and be thoughtful about the eddy above the scout. I'm going to call that etiquette. And then this is, I don't know if you've seen worms before. Some people use, this is like a mnemonic for teaching. Can you see this?
Is this the Steve Welch mnemonic?
No, this is like a pretty well-known mnemonic in the like teaching rafting. Make myself a little bit bigger here. In like the teaching rafting, kayaking, it's in a lot of books and people use it. I first learned it as dorms, where it was destination, obstacles, route, marker, swimmers. But I like worms more. And mnemonics aren't there for the learners; they're there for the teachers. I think. Like you're not gonna go scouting and be like, "Oh, worms! I'll do all worms." This is more so when you teach it, you can remember the things you're supposed to cover. And so, really quick, I'll go with these. Water is just like look where the water's going. That's kind of it. I think this one's kind of stupid personally. I think they just put the water in there to make it spell worms. Right. Or if it's dorms, they put destination in there, like know where you're going. This one, of course, you're gonna look where the water's going. This is a no-brainer, but so I'm not a big fan of W. Obstacles, that's what you're doing. You're really looking for obstacles. You're looking for undercut rocks. You're looking for logs. You're looking for things that are dangerous. They're in your way. And like for me, the number one thing when I'm scouting is I'm looking for wood. That's I'm gonna get if I'm above a rapid and can't see the bottom, I'm like, okay, I can't see everything. Let me make sure there's no wood in there. Right. Sometimes I scout just to make sure it's clear of some danger. So obstacles is a big one. Route, like pick your route down, which it's obvious, right? Like if that's what you're doing, scouting, of course you're going to pick your route down.
Yeah. I think that picking the route down is actually like the lowest priority. Like you just need to know where everything is. And then when you're coming up from the top, you know where everything is. And you're going to be like, oh, well, I know I need to be down there at the bottom at the end. Well, how do I get down there? What looks best from here? It's like, I think actually that's where a lot of people get hung up is they spend too much energy trying to figure out their route. And then when they get out there, the perspective is so different when you're floating down the rapid. Then they try to take that exact route. And for me, at least, I felt like I've been better off just sticking with what you talked about, obstacles and markers.
Yeah. And so route also, when we teach route, it's like have your plan A, B, and C. Mm-hmm. That's part of route. Like, hey, if you get off your route, like have a backup plan. But if you know where the obstacles are, you just know where not to go. But whatever. And then markers, this is kind of based on what you were saying. People scout, they look at the big hole or the big dangerous thing. They just obsess on the hole. And they never look at the entrance. And the magic of scouting, to me, is in the entrance. Because when you're scouting from shore, you have a different perspective than when you're entering the rapid. And so what happens is people are super busy looking at the hole when they scout, walk up, and they enter the rapid and they don't know where to go because the river it looks different from the boat than it did from the shore. Mm-hmm. And so when I teach scouting, I say you should spend at least 60% of your time looking at the entrance. And that's just a made up number, but it just reinforces like look for rocks or like laterals or like eddy lines that you want to follow for your entrance. So you know where to be set up correctly. Because I've seen a lot of people scout and then enter somewhere completely weird. And it's just because they got lost. So markers is the big one to me. Like find those markers. And then have a plan for swimmers and safety.
Yeah. You know who I learned the most from, who taught me the most about scouting? Ben Wartburg. Yeah. Maybe because all the kayaking he did, but we were doing a course up on the Cal Salmon, and then like he was like his little nuances of scouting were unbelievable. And one of the big things he did was he tried to get down at river level, out in the river as far as he could to look downstream beforehand to know his markers. Because, when you got that high scout up above and you're looking down, it helps some. But, I mean, I don't know if you've been there. I've been on a lot of courses where I know a river well, and I know the places well on it. And then we scout it with the course, and then we go down to run it. And you'll get to, like, the bottom of the rapid, and the kid will say, who's going to be like, hey, we're halfway done. And you're like, dude, you had no idea where we were. Like, clearly, like, great run. The line worked great. You did a great job, but you know, and I think like the perspective thing is really challenging, particularly when you got those high scouts. And so I like the focus on the markers as you walk back up and trying to get down at river level and get out and walk out on the rocks out near the entrance. You know, a lot of times there's like a point sticking out above the rapid, then you got to walk back up above that to get to the eddy where your boats are. We'll walk out on that little point and look downstream and be like, okay, do I know where I need to be right now?
So, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I mean, a few times kayaking, I've scouted and thought, and then I entered it, and I'm like, I don't even know where I'm supposed to go, and that's a scary feeling. Like you're going to the rapid, and all of a sudden, you don't. So that when that happened to you a few times, you'll be down at the river. You'll understand the value of being river level, and you're right. Like get it out on the bank and try to see the view you're going to have coming down the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key to scouting, I think. Again, looking at the big hole and the rocks and the gnarly thing halfway down, it's good to know it's there. It's information, but like really, like if the route's clear and you know where to go, then just focus on like make sure you enter the best you can.
No, totally. Yeah, definitely. People spend a lot of time looking at those obstacles. You know,
like they just stare at them.
Yeah. I feel like for me is like when I'm scouting a rapid, first of all, I want to know where I can exit at the bottom. I always start there at the bottom. Be like, okay, hey, where do I need to be at the bottom? And then work my way back upstream. Because like, whatever, man. Yeah, great. The left side looks nice for an entrance, but it goes down into a huge undercut rock. You're not going to enter there. So start at the bottom and work your way back up. And then have an idea of like, okay, what routes work? And then what routes work? What different places can I run it? Can I go over there? Can I go over here? Can I go, you know? And then one of the other problems I found is when I'm looking at an angle, you don't get a real feel for the way the current's moving in the rapid. You know, like how the river's going to take you. Is it going to take you more left? Is it going to take you more right? Sometimes it's hard to see until you do that thing where you talk about where you walk out and look downstream at it. I feel like I get a much better feel for how the river's going to take me and where the boat will go, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I just got thinking about something.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was looking at videos while you were talking, so I wasn't paying attention. Sorry. But I was obsessed with what I was thinking about. But I'm sure the audience was just enamored by everything you said.
Yeah, right. Do you want to say your thing before you forget, and then we can go back around? Because I want to ask you about this if you've noticed this.
I'll remember.
Okay. Do you notice, though, if you look from up above, you don't get as good a feel for which way the currents are going in rapids?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But when you get that angle looking downstream, it's
100%.
It's weird. I don't understand why it is that way, but it definitely works so much better at getting that downstream view on it. So
100%. So I think there's two rapids in particular I'm thinking about right now. One of them is Greenwall on the Illinois, and one of them is Clavey Falls.
Oh, yeah.
So like at Greenwall, everybody walks down. It's good to see the whole rapid. You can walk down and see where to go, but a lot of time needs to be spent scouting the entrance. I think a lot of people mess up the entrance because they're so busy looking at the main drop. So I actually pulled up some of our video.
I think that's a great one. That's a great example. Yeah, totally. Because there's that, you get up top and then you're like, you remember the hole at the bottom that you're like, dude, I got to be left of that hole at the bottom. And there's that big drop at the top. But then I think people have flipped up above before.
Yeah. I've seen people like this is for those of you who don't know, this is me following Aaron down Greenwall. I think this part here messes a lot of people up. This very, very entrance. Yeah. And because you don't scout this, you walk back up on the trail and it looks easy. You don't even think about where to go. But I've seen somebody pop an oar here, and that's a problem in the entrance. And so all this part of the Illinois, it's a little bit intimidating because especially if you didn't look at it. And so when I'm having people scout Greenwall, I'm like, go down and look at the line, make sure you know where to go. But you really need to see this part of the river and see it from the river bank, which is hard to do because you have to walk down through Poison Oak.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's like, no, that looks easy. I got it. No big deal.
This drop right here really messes. I feel this is a tough spot right here. Which side do you want to go on? Do you want to go to the right or the left of these rocks? And then, I mean, we've got it easier because it's low water. And when it's higher, these make holes.
This exact spot. You really have to like, and it looks way different, this view, than looking down on it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
And then remembering where to go after this is huge. because a lot of mistakes I would venture to say most mistakes in green wall happen between here and the top of that first drop. Like there's a hole right there you could flip in on the left, and then that rock on the right, a lot of boats ride up on it and they can flip there. And so to me personally in green wall, getting boats to this point is like over 50% of the rapid. That's just my opinion. Like maybe I'm wrong, but like just getting through the entrance. And once I get here, like I've thoroughly scouted it. Like I've walked down, I've looked at it. I know it's a pretty distinct line. You know exactly where to go, right? Like, you know, if you mess up, you mess up. But like, there's one place to go here, pretty much, right? Where upstream there were some decisions that had to get made, and it wasn't super obvious.
Totally. Yeah. No. It's yeah, and like because in this section, there's only at this flows. This is the only chute you can go through. There's not a lot of decisions to make, and it's not hard to see where that chute is.
Yep. And then
even
down here actually is tricky too to know where to be at the bottom, but you can't really get in the water down below.
Yeah.
Like this move down here, this hole, I always am like, oh man, it looks so different than the Scout. Like knowing where to be right in here is tricky because if you're too far left, you hit that rock, and if too far middle, you go to the hole.
Yeah, I've never hit that rock on the left. I'll just say that. So
I have.
I've tried to.
But you can't. I hit it and then shaboinged over into the hole and took a beat down in the hole.
Yeah.
Like I was driving really hard left, trying to not go in the hole, and it moved me over into it. But you can't get this view right here from the Scout. Like there's no way to get this view because you can't be this far on the river, unfortunately.
I think you're bringing up a good point too. Like the entrance, like you talk about the entrance on this, and I'm sure Clavey Falls, similar idea. That the entrance on Clavey messes everyone up. Like to be in the right spot because it's just this horizon line. You're like, oh, where should I be exactly to hit that drop next? Yeah, but I'll say above the drop, and also like for Blossom Bar, for example, below the drop's a problem. Because like knowing where to go in your run out and knowing what you're gonna do, like, oh, everyone's worried about the picket fence. But yeah, great. You pass the picket fence, you can still wrap a boat. I've seen boats wrap below there. So yeah.
Here's Barry running. Let me remove this thing. Here's Barry running Clavey Falls. When I scout Clavey Falls, everybody goes down pretty far down to scout the falls and the hole. But I would walk up these rocks all the time in here.
Yeah.
And look downstream, look down and try to make sure I have markers. Because you can enter here and have, I mean, it's just we're not getting the bird's eye view anymore. But now we are. But like, if you didn't pay attention to the entrance, you don't exactly know where to go.
Yeah. Well, and then there's that flat rock. People run into that flat rock that we can see again next time they switch back to. He's going to go to the right of it, I'm guessing. Yeah, the one that's just. Yeah, he's cutting back and forth a lot, but.
So he's in my mind again. He's mostly done with the rapid at this point. Like actually, in my mind, once he was at the top of the falls, lined up.
Really, he's mostly done with the rapid. Are you really saying that, Zach? Are you really saying that?
Yeah, because I think you've lined up for the top of you've like got yourself in the right position to drop the falls. It's pretty obvious what you're gonna do next. You're gonna go to the falls and then move right to the hole and go back left.
I agree with you. I'll agree with you. The falls is all about the setup, and once you drop in the falls, like anyone can be in the back of the boat at that point. Really, you're not doing that much.
But it's super obvious what to do. But what happens in my experience is people don't scout that entrance, don't scout the little rocks. We'll get these comments in a second. People don't scout the entrance, and then they get up there and like, man, this doesn't look like. I was so busy looking at the hole. I don't know exactly where to enter, especially around 2000 when there's just a big horizon line.
Yeah, where it's a lot. Yeah.
Like at these lower flows, like 1100, it's kind of obvious, but at higher levels, it's a whole wide open plate.
Oh, totally.
All right. So let me finish this whole thing I'm doing, and then we can get the comments and stuff.
Yeah, sounds great.
Where are we at? This one. So the last thing we talked about was swimmer safety. And again, it's just like, if you have a swimmer, knowing telling them where to go, or if you swim, the nice thing about scouting is you know where to swim if you fall out. And also having throw bags at the bottom, like having a plan for swimmers. So this is the mnemonic worms. I personally like OHMS, OMS, obstacles, markers, swimmer safety. I think that water and route are just sort of silly. They did it to create the mnemonic, but like when I'm scouting, I'm looking for obstacle. I'm looking for obstacles, dangerous things. I'm looking for my markers in the entrance, and I have a plan for my swimmers and safety.
I agree. I think that that really simplifies it. I kind of agree about the backronym. It's definitely a backronym.
I saw that in the comment. Let's skip. I was asked if we're going to scout a rapid. Group said yes, then just ran. I hear it.
Yep. You gotta wonder who you're voting with. Zach, I'm sure you've never done that. I've been guilty of that in my younger days. Yeah, not very nice.
You're above the rapid, and you're like, "Hey guys, let's just do it. I'm feeling good." But that doesn't mean. I mean, that's you as a leader, and we made a lot of mistakes as young leaders. As a leader, putting your own personal needs above the group's needs, and people do it all the time.
Having said that, I think, definitely not cool. I have done, but yeah, sure, you bet. And then we get down above and be like, hey, Zach, do you still want to scout that? Because then we're having good runs, we've got a rhythm going, and then no, dude, let's just go. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, but that's this is you using Jedi forces. When you're like a charismatic leader, you can say that in ways that
but I think in some ways it works.
You know what I'm saying though, Aaron? Like if you're a good, you can be like, if you don't want to scout it, you can be like, hey guys, you guys are good going down, right? Like we got.
No, I'm not saying like that, but like someone had a bad run there the last week and is stressing about it. Like their last trip. Like Zach, you had a bad run at Clavey the last time and we're going down again. You're all gripped about it, dude. Like, yeah, hey, don't worry about it, Zach. We'll stop there and scout it. And then we get above it. Hey, Zach, do you still want to scout? And you're like, hell no, let's just go run it. I'm like, cool, yeah, let's go. Because you're stressed about it. So hey, don't worry, we'll stop there. Don't worry about that. I think that's part of
how often does that happen? Where people want
for you, not that often, but for me, I think a lot of times I will at the beginning of the day be like, hey, I'm not comfortable with rapid. I'm going to stop and look at it. And I'm going to decide when I get there, and I'll just leave it and just put it on the back burner and let go of it. Be like, when I get there, I'll stop and decide if I'm going to run it or not. Particularly kayaking for me, because I'm not a very good kayaker. I do this a lot more kayaking. I'll be like, hey, I'll get down there. But a lot of times I'll get down there like, dude, I'm feeling good today. Yeah, hey, yeah, no, I don't want to scout. Let's just go. I don't want to get out and get all stiff. I've got the flow going.
I think that it's more often that people want to scout but don't because of peer pressure than them getting there and just changing their mind that they actually don't.
But I'm going to say this. How much does it help you to scout Clavey Falls when you've run it 20 times in the last month?
It doesn't help me, but it helps the guy it's their third time.
Yeah, it's the third time. But I'm saying I feel like those guys who've been running it we have to stop the scout. You're like, dude, we scout this every week.
Yeah, I tell you 20
times. Do you not know where to go yet?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you. I have two thoughts about this. Because there's two things here: commercial and private. I think you're going into commercial world where I'm thinking private boaters. I'm out on a trip, a river I've never done. That's what my brain is like. Do I scout this? Do I not scout it? Right. But I have two thoughts about commercially. One, I think guests like to scout.
Oh, totally.
So I think it's part of
then you
the
sit
show.
there for a long time and make them poop their pants and make it a big deal, a big show of it, and you just point to stuff and start
talking. It's part of the show.
They make faces and be like, "Oh, it looks bad today." Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. That's
it depends. If you're a guy, if you're as scared as a guide, and you run down and look at it, and you're kind of like, I don't know what to do, and you run back up hurriedly and run the rapid. Come on, guys, follow me. That's not the show. That's just bad. But if you can be a confident guy and walk down and be like, oh, it's looking pretty big today. I don't know. And then the guests are like, where do we go? And you're like, oh, we're going to go over here and we're going to go over there. And if you fall out, I want you to swim to the left. And they're like, oh man, that's so cool. And you tell them the names of the rocks. There's Dinosaur Rock and there's Pelican Rock and some history. And you guys feeling good about this? Any questions? Cool. Let's walk up and go. That's good guiding. You didn't need a scout as a guide, but you included your guests in the scout and you put on the show that they want to have, right? That's good guiding. So that's one. And then two is, I think out of respect for certain rapids, they deserve to be scouted every time. That's my opinion. I think I'm going to put Blossom Bar in that category. I'm going to put Greenwall in that category. Clavey, I think on an overnight trip, it should always be scouted, personally. It's just because you have time. Why not give it the respect it deserves? It's disrespectful to the rapid to just route it. Hey guys, let's just route this. We got this, right? And when you scout, you can do the S, the swimmer safety. You know, when I'm like, hey guys, let's just gut Clavey, we're good. Whereas maybe we should scout it, have somebody at the bottom of the throw bag just in case you forget the S when you just gut it.
I agree. Yeah. No, I agree with all that.
So I'm gonna say out of respect is a good reason to do it.
Out of respect
for the rapid, yeah.
Yeah,
You know, stories of groups. I don't have any particular stories. I've seen it happen, but I mean, it's more likely that. Hold on, let me before I forget. It's more likely we scout for an hour and we watch groups not scout and have carnage. I have some stories like that, but not.
Fun,
yeah, when you're like sitting there forever and finally somebody just routes it and they just have a hard time. But
yeah, and I'm gonna say this: that's bad juju. When a group's scouting and you're like, "Oh, we're cool. We don't need to scout." Oh my gosh, I've been beat down too many times doing that. Like, "Oh yeah, we don't need to scout, guys. Let's show them how it's done." And then you go down there and you just get trashed. You're like, "Oh, that was embarrassing."
It does feel good though when people are scouting and you just gut it.
Yeah,
and you're like, "See you guys."
It does, but a fair number of time, I feel like it. You know, you're.
I'm not saying do it. It's just it's a like a you know what a yam is, Aaron. Young aggressive male. It's like 20, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds. You know, when you're a yam, you just want to show off and be like, we got this and gut it and look back and be like, yeah, have fun, scouters. But I think it's proper for them to not do that.
Definitely. So how long should a scout take in general?
I mean, it depends.
Clavey, how? Like, let's just say you're a private boater going to Clavey. You haven't
5 minutes.
seen 5 minutes.
Because it's not that far of a walk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe longer. If
what do you think
the trip leader wants to come up with a plan?
What do
you know, if the trip leader gets everybody together, and it's like, who's going to go first? Who's going to set safety? What's our plan? Maybe longer. But if it's like good,
let's say 10 minutes then. 10 minutes if they do the 5-minute meeting, ideally. How long do you think it takes on average?
For rafters? Oh, Clavey? Private boaters?
Yeah.
It depends if they've done the river or not. Like if they're new to Tuolumne, it depends on the flow, man. 2,000 new boaters to the tee, an hour. Easy. Yeah. I've seen people stare at that rapid forever.
Well, I think that's what I'm going to come back to is what's the saying? I think Ben used to say, the more you scout, the more you doubt. Get your line and get out. You got that? You don't like that one? You're making
I like it. The more you I like it. The more I mean, I agree 100%.
Get your line and get out. Like
that's why I got into photography early in my boating career. Because I don't like to sit there and scout. I see where to go. I'm going to do it. Not because I'm badass, but because I get nervous just sitting there. I want to get it done.
Yep.
It's in my brain. I saw it. I want to do it. I don't want to like put it in my brain and then have it sit there for a bit. And so I would sit at I would run rapids and then sit there for 20, 30 minutes while people scout and start taking photos.
Well,
like maybe something to do because I would be bored for 20 minutes while people are scouting.
I'm going to say this too, Zach. When you go up to scout, you see the line right away, or you probably shouldn't be running it. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, that's where I should go. And then maybe you spend a couple minutes checking to make sure there's nothing else to worry about. But if you stand there more than 5 minutes looking at the rapid, then you just start looking at all the bad things that can happen to you. It's not constructive, I think, after you like sitting there longer to look at it. It's like, how much time you can be like, oh yeah, that's a sweet line. Oh yeah, that's a sweet line. You're not going to sit there and be like, oh yeah, that's a sweet line. I got that. You're going to be like, ooh, oh yeah, going over there would be bad. Ooh, I could go there and spin. Oh yeah, oh that could be bad. I mean,
I think sometimes people are just jangling. They're just chit chatting with their friends, and they're, you know, and you know, my favorite thing on a scout is when like there's 3 yams standing on a rock pointing at things. You know, you got to have like, you know, 3 people standing on a rock pointing to really have a scout be complete. And so that takes a little while to get everybody on the same rock and all the pointing to have happen. So I think there's just like, it's social, and some people are scared. They're trying to work up the guts. They're like, I'm genuinely scared of this. Like I'm trying to like, it's like jumping off a rock. Like, man, that's a long way down. Am I going to do this? And we're like, go, jump. It's kind of like,
yeah, we don't sit there for 30 minutes.
Sometimes it takes people a while.
30 minutes? That's not like, if you wait 3 minutes, you shouldn't be jumping.
Well, you also have to wait. Like, it also depends on leadership. if nobody's in charge saying, hey, let's go, nobody's going to go. There has to be somebody saying, hey, we need the first 2 boats up there. You guys feel good? You got your lines? Cool. You 2 run, we'll set safety.
So that was my normal move. Is just like didn't want to wait around for the people, so I'd be like, hey, you want to see Zach and I go run it? They're like, okay, my guy, like, let's go. I don't want to sit up here any longer. Let's just run it. And then,
even before we walk, if we'd pull into the eddy, I'd be like, hey, Aaron, you and I just leave our guests in our boat. Let's just do a quick scout so that the other boats can watch us. And because what happens, like, I would even know before we get there, like, hey, we're going to go take a quick look, make sure we're good, run back up and run this thing. And that way it gets the train moving.
Yep, totally.
Let's move on. Backronym. Yeah, I think that's what WORMS is. I'm pretty sure.
I think that's totally.
Of course, acronym. Yep. Oh, speaking of yams, welcome, Nick. This one breaking or hitting that rock. Which Nick?
I think he's talking about in
Illinois.
Yeah, in Illinois. Yeah,
hitting that rock.
On Greenwall.
Yeah. Nick, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, about this, and Greenwall on scouting. If you want to type a few things away, if you have a second, we're not too busy being smart. Well, we have a lot of comments.
Yeah,
On trip after Barry.
Oh, cool. On the that's cool, Sean. Nice.
Getting multiple locations and picking markers. Yeah, I think that's crucial.
I totally, because it keeps changing. You walk up 10 more feet and you look and you're like, oh, if you walk like too many steps and you turn around, you're like, oh God, where was it? Yeah. Oh yeah. And then your friends are annoyed because they want to go and you're like, I don't know the line. And do you really trust following your friends? Like,
I try.
Particularly the ones who didn't even look at it walking back up. You're like,
I think that's part of guiding, is like not building hype is, I think, the right word, but just sort of like the legend of the rapid. Like, hey, this is a big rapid. This is a legendary rapid, like the top 10 in the world. This is special. Let's take a second to savor it like a fine wine and give it the respect it deserves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nick gets it. Classic yam.
It is fun.
It is. It does feel pretty good. The best is when you're paddling down. You give them, you guys good? Cool, good job. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
We'll show you how it's done. We'll show you how it's done. Yeah.
Oh, do you have your cameras on? How much do you explain your route to the paddle crew, especially when they're having difficulty? I typically, if I have time, I like to explain it. I think they like to know. I don't think they need to know. I just think they like to know, and I think that's good guiding.
Well, and I would say is like, there's certain spots where there's a high probability of people falling out, and say, hey, right here, I'm going to call, like in Clavey Falls, for example, you call get down at the top. So I'm going to call get down. If you fall out after they get down, then you're going to want to, swim left. You want to stay on the left side, and then we'll be back on the job, and then we'll be back up, and then we'll be paddling. If you fall out here, there's going to be eddies at the bottom on both sides, whatever the case may be.
But I wouldn't do that from shore, because if I say I'm going to do a get down there, they won't know where they're at.
No, but the get down, the point is the get down is the key command.
Yeah.
It's like once you've heard the get down, they know where they are. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's why sometimes I'll be like, hey, at this point, we're going to do this, and this is going to happen. And you're going to call a get down going over the drop. Or you're just like.
What I used to do when I was nervous is I would give them all the commands I plan to do in the eddy above. Like, hey guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of forward paddle lightly, forward paddle, stop, forward paddle, get down, back up, back paddle, stop, forward, stop. Like, that's what I plan to do, is to expect those things. And then we'll see what happens. And then they know that they at least heard the chain of commands, but from the eddy above, not from like the shore, like just before we do it.
Yeah.
Got every rapid class 5 and above.
Oof. Oh, Sean, brutal.
Yeah, that might take a while. I mean,
class 5 rapid. Holy, like it could take you forever to even scout some of those.
It depends on, maybe you have time.
Like, if you don't want to do any hiking, if you don't want to go see the cool hiking,
maybe scouting is hiking. I guess
that's true.
I mean, I think this is okay. Like if you're a bunch of baller boaters, of course you're not going to do this. You want to hang out and have a gin and tonic and camp.
Okay, let's be honest. Class 5 in Grand Canyon is class 2.
I get that. I get
class
that.
2,
but I think some people that do the Grand Canyon are on an adventure.
Totally.
Like they may not finish. It's like, hey, we're we barely know what we're doing. Like they're on a true adventure. They probably do need a scout class too. I'm not going to badmouth scouting. I'm not going to say, hey, they scouted too much. If you have the time,
I think but the other part I'm going to say about the Grand Canyon is really hard is you can't walk up top and get a good view looking down and know where your entrance is. Yeah. You got to follow the boat in front of you pretty much.
The other thing this brings up is like you're probably going to get hurt scouting this much. You're probably more likely to get hurt scouting this much because of all the rocks and the rattlesnakes and like all.
True.
I mean, it depends. Yeah. Sometimes scouting, you're like, hey, the scouting is more dangerous than the rapid.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, totally. Yeah.
If you're a bunch of 23-year-old DMs, you can run up and down the thing. But I remember there's a rapid on the Crooked. It's pretty big called No Name. And there was somebody who just wasn't going to make the walk. They're just like, they weren't going to, it's over rocks and things. And this happened to me twice on the 2 times I've run the Crooked in a raft. Both times somebody was like, it's just too far of a walk for me. I can't get up Dennis rocks. I'm just going to gut it. And both of them had problems. Like you guys will be at the bottom, right? And they're just like, I'm going to go down because like going down the rapid and flipping is safer than walking up and down.
I mean, Zach, that just sounds like the list of problems that brings to mind when they say they can't walk. They can't walk down to Scout or Rapid. It's like, what happens if you fall out and swim to shore?
Oh, I know.
Boats are all downstream of you. What do you do then?
This is on a trip where I was invited. I didn't put it together, but
yeah,
you show up and you meet these people and you're like, oh, you're a good boater, cool, and you learn along the way they can't walk. Like you shouldn't be here. But I didn't put the trip together, right? I'm like, hey, man, if you want, I'll set safety, I guess. But this is a problem for me now. If I have to solve
and it's not like the South Fork of the American where there's tons of people coming down who can pick you up. Like, there's not another boat just around the corner always coming around the corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the Crooked doesn't get run that much, does it?
No.
Is it that busy of a trip run?
No.
What I'm saying is if you're on a river where you're like, there's boat after boat after boat after, great. You swim yourself to shore, then another boat you can wave down, then you can hop in, they can give you a ride down. If it's a really busy river with a lot of traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I said safety for them both times. Yeah. Actually, the second time I didn't. I was flying the drone following him. So I think I had this on drone footage. But they, there's like, I'm not going to walk down there. I'm just going to gut this thing. All right, cool. I wasn't happy with it, but whatever. I don't know what we're referring to here at the Five Guys pissing next to each other.
Well, I'm going to say, do you have a scouting ritual?
Do I always piss when I scout?
Like some people always pee when they scout.
I had to say my first 30 times scouting Clavey, I probably pee because I was so nervous.
Run off in the bushes and pee. It used to smell over in those bushes.
Yeah, it made me pee.
Back then we weren't smart enough to always pee in the river.
I don't. It's not my ritual to pee anymore on a scout because, yeah, that's insane. At Greenwall.
Yeah.
Nick with 100%. Yeah. If nothing else,
I hate that. Then that's like one of the worst scouts ever. That is a brutal scout.
Poison oak over rocks.
Oh God, that's a terrible scout. I hate that scout.
It's long.
I always want to not scout it.
And you have a long day. You're like, as a trip leader, I'm like, oh, man, we got to walk everybody down and back, and we have a lot of miles to go to a camp, and so I'm always in a hurry there.
Yeah.
This acronym, that's funny. Walk the whole thing because it's real easy to say. I think walking down at Greenwall, walking down to that bottom rapid, I call that big hole at the bottom Harvey, because it changes at all different flows. I just want to see what that hole looks like at the bottom. So on the Illinois, I always walk to the end, or I send somebody down. And say,
I always just go left of that hole, never even try to go close to it, and you don't have to worry about it.
You always go left of it? You're that good?
Always. Next time I'll probably go into it, but yeah, always go left
of it. At low water, you can't really go left of it.
Yeah, you can.
Like 650, 500.
I went left of it. In the video you were just showing, I went left of it.
Okay, well, anyway, I always scout. Or I send somebody down and I'm like, hey, just tell me how bad it looks.
Send somebody down to scout for you?
I want it. It's just I want information. I mean, if I'm busy doing stuff, I'm like, hey, just go down there and make sure it doesn't look terrible. I want it to know about obstacles. Is there anything down there? Is there anything new? Like, what if a log got stuck in there? Like, or what if the hole is like, he comes back and like, dude, the hole is gnarly. That's just good to know. Like, okay, I'm gonna run it better. I don't know. Yeah.
Nick's kind of saying what we've been saying.
Had 5 raft trips ever. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is they were on an adventure. Yeah, I mean you guys, Sean.
That's it. Yeah, great.
Yeah, you were on a raft trip. You were on an adventure. There's two different things, right? Like I talk about this on the Middle Fork when we're launching. You know, we have all kinds of beer and outfits to wear, and you know we're cooking nice dinners and omelets, and you know we're gonna get to camp probably every night and have a great time. We see some people show up to the Middle Fork, and we see the gear they have. They don't know what they're doing. I'm like, I don't look down on them. I'm just like, you guys are on an adventure. Good for you. Like the 10 of you are going to come together as a team. At some point, you'll probably be shivering in the cold. You know, you're probably going to have to fix your raft. You're going to, you know, you're on a true adventure. And I salute you guys for that. That's what it sounds like.
Okay, salute. Great. Is there a line in the sand though, where you're like, dude, no, you should not be out here.
High water.
Yeah.
If it's like if it's like 5 feet where I know they're going to just, I'm like, hey, you guys shouldn't be launching.
Okay.
But at most flows, I mean, if I'm not worried about them taking a long swim that they don't understand.
So you're saying don't pay to go with a commercial outfit, or just get your own permit and get some boats together and go, even if you don't know.
Well, it depends what you want. Do you want to go? Do you want to have fun, or do you want to go on an adventure? Adventures are fun too. I mean, these are the groups where we're on a deadhead, and we're passing them on day 3, and they're all wearing dry suits in like 100-degree heat. You know what I'm talking about? You're like, dude, you guys, I don't know. You read a book about how to raft and said buy dry suits and wear them. I guess, you know, and they're just like stuck on their 3rd day, and they're having their own fun. You know, they get to camp at like 7:30. Totally. They're going to eat their top ramen. I love those trips.
It would be amazing to do a private Grand Canyon trip, having never seen it before, and had like pretty much no one with any experience on it. That would have been incredible.
Yeah. My first rafting trips, you know, for me, we're all just like, let's just get a rubber raft from Kmart and just like figure. My first South Fork trip, Aaron, me, my college buddies before I met you, we did the South Fork. We had zero idea what we were doing. 1 boat trip, like the little life jackets that went around like this. You know, we ripped the boat, a hospital bar, and had to hike out. Hiked out in the dark. It was awesome. Some of my best stories. It was really fun. But
yeah, you've had a few stories like that. Yeah. Like if any of you guys know the Tuolumne and you're driving up Wards Ferry Road and you know there's that little green bridge you go over. The first time Zach did the run, he thought that was the takeout bridge, and they left their vehicle at that bridge, the little green.
We didn't leave a vehicle there. It was blown up. Aaron, they had dynamited it.
Oh, they dynamited it.
And so we figured out in the morning that wasn't takeout. We camped.
Oh, I thought you guys.
We at night we did, and we looked down. We're like, is that the Tuolumne? Because it was like 10 CFS. Like this is our first like class 4. We're like, class 4 is way different than class 3. And we're like, well, this probably can't be it because I don't see how to kayak this. So then we drove our 1 car up to put in. And anyway, long story. Hey, River Rafter, I think I disagree with this. I don't think I would depend on YouTube to learn the lines. I think I would depend on good boating and scouting still, because YouTube doesn't really describe the scale, and rivers are different flows. I just don't think you can learn the lines from YouTube.
Wait, don't you do a bunch of video guides to different rivers?
Yeah. It's a terrible idea though. Hey, it's just I did it because somebody was like, hey, the future are video guides to rivers. I go, cool, I'll try it. I think it's really good to get a sense of what the river's like, to be like, hey, I think I can make that move. I'm not getting it over my head. But to use it for your primary information source for running a rapid, I think is hard because GoPros don't show the scale of things, and there's nuances. And I still think scouting is still key. And I hate disagreeing with you because your name is River Rafter. You must know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say this too. I've never been a fan of learning the lines to a river. I in general, I think that's something that I think gets people in trouble. sometimes. Is like, I think Zach going back to is learning to read a river, learn to see it, scout, look at it, and make the decision when you're a game time decision as you're running the rapid. I mean, knowing historically what's there, but for most runs, yeah, you're not doing it particularly private boating. If you're commercial boating a day strip, yeah, you learn the lines. But even that gets really boring if you just learn the lines instead of read it every day.
River rafter, I could be totally wrong here with what I said. I think Aaron and I are of the era and the thinking like, let's learn to read water. Let's learn to read the river. Let's figure it out. Like we go do runs based on a guidebook. They had like the put in the takeout and a couple funny stories. And I love figuring it out. Like for me, the best part about boating is running a river for the first time and figuring it out.
I'd say, yeah.
And so I've never used YouTube to scout other than to say like, will I live if I do this run? Like, okay, that like, you know, I might look at YouTube and be like, ah, man, that rapid's above my ability level. I probably should not run that rapid, run that river. But maybe everybody now is able to use YouTube to learn the lines. It's just not my style at all. And I think it's hard to develop river running skills that way because you depend on, you don't run the river with no information, which is something I enjoy, but maybe I could be totally wrong here.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, Zach. I mean, my favorite is running class 3-4 rivers where you come around the corner and you're like, it's a new rapid and we got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah,
I think super hard.
Not knowing where you're at, like I don't know, we could have passed that rapid. I don't know. The biggest
rapid takeout.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't like not even know your mileage. Yeah, creature crafts are pretty sick. That's their advanced technology, which, yeah, I mean that's the way to go. Creature craft everything. Good idea.
Interesting. Yeah.
Let's move down. What did I do here? Man, there's so many. Okay, here we go. Sorry.
Peter. Yep. That's true.
Isn't that you always want to see the size of a hole? Is that the W in worms?
I mean, why do you care about the size of the hole? I think the better question is, do you need to run the hole or not? If you can miss the hole, who cares about how big it is? Don't go in the hole. I mean, right?
Yeah, or go in the hole. Or just go give it your all. It's exactly what 12. Yeah, this sounds like somebody who I met this July. Yeah, they were like, I'm like, that's the guy I do all the time. Super nice to meet you guys. You are on an adventure. Have fun. And I hopefully I probably checked in with you guys every day. Like, how's the adventure going? Yeah,
that doesn't look like it. What's a battle raft?
I think you meant to write paddle.
Oh yeah.
I think I remember this group. I think I remember and like, yeah, that's pretty funny. Prefer not to be around them on the river. Always will help trouble. I don't mind being around them. I mean, if people are truly on an adventure and they're truly like, they're not just complete idiots. Like if they're drinking and just being idiots, that annoys me. But if they're, if they have some basic skills and they have, like they're just thoughtful about it. You can just tell those people like they're just, if they have the right intentions and aren't completely idiots, they're just like on an adventure. I'm into it. The people who are yahoos, I'm not a fan of. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I bet that was an amazing trip. I bet that was incredible. Yeah, I bet that was just outrageous.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The GoPros make rapids definitely look easier.
What's ROTFL?
Rolling on the floor laughing. Get with it, Aaron. With Aaron. Rolling on the floor with Aaron about Zach and video's comment. I don't know. I think we're so far behind.
He's talking about you're saying like, yeah, you should do the video guides, and you're like, you've got your whole video guide series. Yeah.
The drone footage of Blossom Bar at low water is a good example. Yeah, I mean, I think it helps people know where to go, but I think I'm guessing it makes it look too easy. And drones aren't allowed on the Wild Rogue, so I'm gonna personally just not watch that video out of an ethical issue with using drones.
I think River Rafter has a good point there, though, is that it does help give you some perspective on the river and the runs and where you need to go and what type of and like you said, Zach, about how challenging it is. But I think where Zach, you take pause is like I wouldn't use that and be like, oh, I'm going to watch this video 20 times and then I'm ready to go run the river. I think.
Well, his first comment was like, I'm going to try to paraphrase it, like, the reason to scout is just to find out there's logs and stuff.
Yeah.
Not to know where to go. And I'm going to say, I'm going to scout to know where to go. But
well, and I think one of the things we talk about is like, yeah, send your friend first, send the probe first, which watching the video is like sending your friend first. But you still need to look at the water and get a feel for what the water is doing.
Oh, so maybe the W does matter. There you go.
What?
The W in worms. You just said you need to look at the water still. So maybe the W does matter in worms.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, I think I went to guide school in the South Fork. And so.
Yeah, but the person teaching your guide school did an incredible job. Let's be honest.
I had some pretty badass instructors, including Aaron. Aaron was one of my guide school instructors, and they taught us how to boat. I think a lot of them. I mean, I actually had this discussion with somebody today I was on the phone with somebody about teaching paddle rafting, and if I was teaching paddle rafting to guides in the South Fork, I might just teach them to memorize the lines. Like you're not teaching boaters, you're teaching people to do a job, and so I can't really blame them that much.
Yeah, but I mean, Zach, then when the water levels change or there's a log in the way, it's like, I think it's okay to teach the lines. Like, hey, these are the conventional lines on this river.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't teach those initially. Initially, I'd teach them like figure out the river, figure out how to do it.
I mean,
and then have some conversations because, like, I'll say like on the North Fork of the American, for example, there's certain lines you want to take just because there's certain places that are exposed and people have died and things have happened. And so it's like, yeah, you can go center at Bogus. However, if people fall out, it's really nasty. Going far left, yeah, it's a little bit of an ugly run.
I mean, Aaron, we're talking about the South Fork right now. We're not talking about the North Fork.
I know, but
I'm just saying
it's like, an equivalent.
If I had a company on the South Fork and I had like 100 guides and I had to hire like 20 a year, I'd probably just be like, hey, come to my 5-day course. It's abbreviated. And let's just learn how to do this exact thing over and over and over. I'm not going to.
What happens when someone falls out of a boat? When
you teach that too.
On Fowlers, and then you're not taking the line you're supposed to be taking.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one.
Or there's lines across the river. Oh, we're supposed to go here. Well, we can't.
I'm all for teaching people as much as they can, but not everybody can take like a 10-day class. It's expensive. It's, sometimes you just need like 50 guides. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand.
I'm gonna say that makes me have pause. Like they don't really have the skills to do it. Because like what I'm hearing then, Zach, is they have the skills to do it if everything goes fine. But if things get off the track, off plan A, they're going to have a hard time.
It's the South Fork, though, Aaron. I mean,
yeah, but things get off the track on the South Fork all the time. I've seen double wraps on Fowler's Rock on commercial trips because of this type of mentality of like, hey, you got to fall, just fighter pilot formation, follow the boat in front of you.
It's not fighter pilot formation.
In front of the person wraps.
That's different. No, that's different. That's fighter pilot formation. What I'm saying is they're teaching people how each rapid goes. If you show somebody how to run Fowlers, you're like, hey, I want you to do this exact thing. I want you to go into it, turn your boat to the left, and I want you to back paddle away from the rock and go down.
At what flow?
It's the South Fork's always 1,000.
No, it's not.
Pretty much.
That's the whole point. In the spring, when you're taking your guide school,
yeah, but in the spring, you don't need 100 guides. You take your ballers, you take your Aaron Cavagnolos, throw them out there in the spring.
That's when you're training them up, though. And then summer flows is like July. And you still
that's why they do training trips. That's why they practice. They do ride-alongs and they bring their friends and they have to prove themselves at those flows.
That's just a problem though. And then they're not prepared when something changes.
Oh, this one hurts. Oh, day trip guys do learn the lines. I think a lot too. And I think I'm gonna be okay with that. I think not everybody wants to be a boater. A lot of people just want to crush the South Fork day after day and be a guide and like go to the Coloma Club and like they're not in this for the boating. They're in for like what I don't know, something else. And I'm not going to judge that. They don't all want to be, traveling the world, doing different stuff. And so at a minimum, they need to learn those lines and having varied skills important. If they go anywhere else, they have to have these skills. If they want to go do some North Fork American,
if they want to work on their own river, they have to have the skills. If they want to work on the South Fork when it's 3,000 CFS, the next year
that's when you bring in. That's when you bring in the ballers.
Because on a high water year, all the ballers are going to want to work there instead of on the Tuolumne. when there's a high water year, everyone gets spread out because there's more rivers.
The super ballers go to the T, and then the kind of ballers go to South Fork and practice. I don't know. I mean, I don't run these companies. I'm just. I would never. 2 weeks later.
Dan, what you could do is you can save it on your phone, and then you can pull it out above each rapid and run the rapid, and then put the phone away.
When we were on the Middle Fork this summer, we ran into a group above the chutes that was watching a video I did about how to run the chutes while we were passing them. They were on the left. They're all cuddling on the video, and like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" They're like, "Wait, are you Zach from Good Garage?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, dude, we're watching a video right now." So,
oh my god, that's amazing.
But I'm glad you enjoy the videos. I think it's kind of weird when I do it. So I'm glad to hear you like it, because to me it feels like a sort of a narcissistic thing to do. Battle raft, yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Following exact lines. I do too. I totally do. I don't not like following exact lines. I'm trying to play devil's advocate on the like learn the lines thing. I don't personally follow that methodology. And I won't train guides. I will not train guides that way ever. But I can see why some companies might when they need like 100 guides.
But Zach, we followed the lines on the Tuolumne. You had lines for rapids. You had a line for rock garden. You tried to hit that same line every time.
There's only one line.
That's right. Yeah. Otherwise, you get hosed. You're like,
at low water.
Low water. Yeah, like.
Yeah, but I mess with my lines all the time. Like I can think of like one of the hardest rapids. I don't think it has a name. It's between Clavey and Indian. There's like a Little Niagara. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that one has a lot of nice lines though.
It does, and I used to try to push the whole thing, and so which is hard. But like I would always challenge. Like I can make the move the normal way, but I would practice trying to push every move just to see if I could do it, and then I would try to take different lines when I can to get better personally.
So you were trying to push everything to show that you're a better guide.
It's harder. I don't want. I know where you're going. I'm not gonna get into it.
Don't get caught in.
Yeah, I mean, in 1983, I mean,
even in 1994, 95 was big water for a long time as well.
I mean, honestly, if the South Fork is 8,000 all summer, I don't even know what you do. You can't. You have to take way fewer people, do way more training. I mean, that's a dangerous level.
I'm going to say this. Go back to running bucket boats. I was running bucket boats in the 95 high water. We didn't have flips. We were out of control, but everyone was in the boat. And the boat just like
boats. That's nonsense.
No, the bucket boats.
No. They don't. What do you do? If you own 100 boats, like, oh, we're going to buy 100 bucket boats now.
I think you just keep. I think actually that is one of the problems on the South Fork is when they got rid of the bucket boats, they had a lot more swimmers in high water, and it was a lot more dangerous.
I don't know. I would just say like this. The South Fork at 8,000 is real. Like the South Fork at 1,200, you can make a lot of mistakes, and it's pretty forgiving. Or whatever the flow is. Like I've just seen every possible mistake. I've done I've made all those mistakes. I mean, it's pretty forgiving. At 8,000, it's dangerous. And so to run consistently 8,000 requires a higher caliber of guide. And you can't run like floppy high sides from 30 years ago. You have to have kind of newer boats that are like going to hit this stuff, and probably more or paddle combos, safety cats, safety kayaks. Like it's a different
square back pro 8 loads.
I mean, you could run a square back pro 8 load.
We all were. You're out of control. People were like underneath the thwarts or so much water. Everyone just like trying to get there. They're like drowning in.
They don't even sell those anymore.
I know. It's too bad. Rafting was way more fun when we had bucket boats. It's way more fun.
Go get a bucket boat, Aaron.
Oh, I'm tempted.
Go. You start a new company that just does bucket boat trips.
Bucket
boats and pink flamingos. Chad, I totally agree with this. I'm a big fan of like practicing on the easy stuff. Like practice your class 4 moves in class 2.
I think the big thing is you can take more challenging lines that aren't that much riskier. Like, oh, I'm going to bump a rock if I go through it, or I'm going to spin off, or I'm going to get stuck on the rock. Versus, oh, if I go here, then someone's going to swim into a nasty strainer and take a 1/4 mile swim or whatever. I think that's the big difference is like, and that's what's fun about rafting is you can do that. And the South Fork is actually really good for that. A lot of places is there's a lot of spots where you can, there's particularly low water, challenge yourself without really increasing your risk too much.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of practicing. You gotta do it responsibly. So we're caught up with comments, and so we talked a lot about.
Wow, it took us like 30 minutes to catch up with comments. Yeah, we're back to that. Yeah. Okay.
So we talked about that's my philosophy on scouting when I teach. Again, like I just want to review. The etiquette is wear your PFD, carry a throw bag. Think about the eddy that you're in, and make space for other people. And when in doubt, scout. And then in terms of like how to actually perform the scout, the mnemonic is like a good reminder of things to do. I'm a big fan of obstacles, markers, swimmers, OHMS, but you might want to add your own stuff. That's my take. And is there anything you want to add, Aaron, before we move on to?
Well, I love OHMS, but I think you're spelling it wrong. Shouldn't it be OHMS?
No, ohm like oh.
No, I think we need the other ohms. We need to figure out an H. We need to back.
You mean like the voltage, like the
voltage ohms? Yes, exactly. Like that would be
obstacles, hair markers, because then you make sure your hair. Oh, you have a helmet on.
Helmets.
Oh, obstacles, helmets. Yeah, I mean that's one thing is you see a lot of people do. They get to the scout, they take their helmet off immediately, and do the scout. And so, and now we don't wear helmets a lot of rivers, but if you're wearing a helmet on the river, you should wear it on the scout.
Yeah. Zach, I think you covered it extremely well. One thing I would go back to is before heading downstream at put in, having a little meeting with the other guides and just checking in and say, hey, is there any rapids anyone wants to scout today? And having that conversation at the start of the day. Like, is there anything anyone is wanting to scout or think they might want to scout? And so that you know beforehand, and they're like, hey, yeah, I really want to scout evangelist. You're like, oh, okay. Well, then, okay, if we're going to scout evangelist, how should we pull over? And just have a plan beforehand about what we're going to do and how we're going to tackle.
I mean, Aaron, you're coming at this from a commercial perspective.
Well, even a private boater perspective, I think sometimes it's like, hey, are there any rapids you guys want to scout today? We used to do that on private trips.
I think I'm coming at it from a private boater who's doing a new run.
Yeah,
that's what my brain is like. You don't know you don't know. Like, hey, let's get like you don't like you scout when you're like you don't see the way down. Like, oh, we should scout this when we don't see the route. Let's pull.
Now we're talking like you have no knowledge. I think there's different situations. You're talking a situation when none of us have been down here before. We're doing some random tributary of the Smith River.
No knowledge. Yes. Like when do you scout? Like that's in my brain. That's what I'm picturing us doing.
Okay. If we're talking about that, then if we're talking about the run that we've never seen before, whoa, yeah, I don't know about that. 40,000, wow.
Kayak, I'm guessing. And a raft, that sounds scary.
So if no one's, I think boat scouting is a key thing when we're talking about stuff like that too, as well, is how do you boat scout well? And what do you do when you're boat scouting?
Yeah, boat scouting is a whole other topic.
I mean, like, because if you're talking about a run you haven't done before, you can't pull over and scout every single rapid, particularly you're running the North Fork of the upper North Fork of the Smith. There's too many rapids. You can't scout all of them. You won't make it out in a day. And so you gotta boat scout a lot too. And I think that's an interesting, like, kind of side conversation. There's talking about boat scouting. And that's one of the reasons it's good to be competent catching eddies.
Yeah, I mean, boat scouting in rafts, I think it's hard.
Yeah,
I think it's easier in kayaks because you can catch smaller eddies and you can catch eddies halfway down. You can like, oh, I see an eddy halfway down, let me catch that one. Where in a raft, you're like, I got to see the whole thing. I can't pull over halfway down probably.
Well, sometimes you can. They're like, you stand up, you're like, oh, I see an eddy on the right that I know I can catch. And by that point, I'll have a view of the bottom. Okay, I'm going to charge down there. But you may take the second boat, be like, hey, man, wait until you see me like make a move going behind that rock. If I don't look like I'm eddying out, I'm just going for it. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's hard. I mean, it's doable, but it's hard.
Yeah.
You have to have a team of really good people. Ooh, which reminds me of a topic I could ask you real quick.
What is why?
I mean, here I always forget what heuristic traps are. I have to think about them. There's like
a heuristic, like being a hero. Heuristic.
No. Heuristic traps. Can somebody remind me of what there's there's a thing for it. What do they call it? An acronym for it? It's basically like your mind creates these like heuristic shortcuts, and it's like skipping these shortcuts and making quick decisions, which are a lot of times bad decisions. And so there's a whole bunch of them. If you're in like the academic outdoorsy world, heuristic traps are a big deal. And it started off with avalanches. Like a lot of people, like one of the heuristic traps is because somebody just did this, it's okay for me to do it, right? So the first person makes it through, and the second person gets caught in an avalanche, right? Or there's a halo effect where if you're with an expert, you'll be fine. You know, so and so is the best in the world. They never get caught. So that's like a halo effect. And there's a bunch of there's an acronym for all the heuristic traps, but it's basically just like getting yourself into trouble. For you, it would just be stuff that's common sense, like don't do these stupid things.
Okay. Huh.
Wanting to look cool in front. Want to look cool. Yeah, there's one about there's like a social trap where like you don't want to speak up because you want to impress somebody, so you don't speak up. That's a heuristic trap.
Well, and I think, Chad, you bring up a good point, and I've definitely done this on trips where like I know certain people in the group. I'm like, dude, I want them to look at this, and so I don't say, hey, you guys, I want to pull over and look at this today. And that's definitely something that happens. But I think it's also important to learn to use your voice. I think there's two sides to this. One's important to learn to use your voice to speak up, because that's a huge part. They talk about backcountry skiing is so many accidents are prevented because the people who are less experienced speak up, right? And they say, hey, I'm not comfortable. So I think there's that side of it. And then there's the other side of it is that you got to realize that people may not speak up. And so, you know, it's kind of try to account for that and recognize it and be like, oh, hey, let's just pull over and scout this. So
really quick, the heuristic traps. Yeah, Zach, we've done a couple of podcasts on this, and Dustin is our resident heuristics traps guy. But like familiarity, it's like you've done it a bunch, so it's gonna be fine today. You know, like you skied this certain line, or you've rafted a river, you've rafted the white salmon 100 times. It's super easy, and then one day it's not because there's a log. Social proof is just like I forget what it is exactly. It's like just being behavior is correct. What's the other? Yeah, I don't get that one. I forget. It's like I think it's trying to prove yourself among the group. Commitment is like you've driven 10 hours to the Selway, and the Selway's too high. You've driven 10 hours. You like all took a week off of work. Like you've committed to this endeavor, but you probably shouldn't go, but you go anyway. Scarcity is like getting a Selway permit. Like, hey, we only get one every 10 years. Even though it's super high, let's just go anyway. There's a few more.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was like 7 of them. Anyway, like there's just like that's my best explanation of it.
Okay. Coming back around to scouting. Yeah. One other question for you. Run all together or run in small groups? Which is safer?
Depends on the group. Depends on the rapid. Depends on the group.
Give me some examples.
Like I've seen at Clavey 6 boats run back to back to back all together high water, and 3 of the boats flip. Right? That's not good.
Well, so why would it have been better if they ran in? What would have been better if they ran in groups of 2?
Run 2 and they have a bunch of throwbags at the bottom.
Yeah, but throwbags aren't going to reach people there, are they?
I don't know. But running, I mean, I'm a big fan. I mean, I do both. It depends on the situation. But I like running a few boats down. Like running your strongest boaters down to have safety at the bottom. And then like, so that if you have a lot of people flip, it's not too much panic. And then run like 2 more boats down. Because you can handle 2 boats at a time. You can't handle more than half of your group flipping. So, but sometimes you just can't. You can't run 2 boats at a time. It's too far. Like Greenwall. At Greenwall, I like to run 2 boats at a time too. Actually, like have people down there at the very bottom of the throw bag, like cut 2 people, send a couple gear boats down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so at least they can look out for each other, and then there's throw bags down below. If they both flip, it's a bad scene. But like at least get the people probably. And then once they're secure, then run 2 more boats down. And then once they're secure, run the last 2. But running 6 at a time, if 2 boats flip, it's a lot. Even 2 boats, it's just a lot. It's just a lot of confusion.
I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot to manage too, just running the rapid. You know, like having that many boats and keeping your boat spacing and not running into each other, and there's a lot of variables involved there. So I kind of do like breaking into smaller groups, but I always just say it's like, well, the probability. I mean, I guess if you see a boat flip, then you know, oh, let's not go there, and those other boats will probably miss it. So,
yeah, it depends on the situation. Sometimes they're like, you're not gonna at Grays, you're not gonna on the Tuolumne, it's a mile long.
Yeah,
you're not gonna run two boats in the two. You're gonna run together. It's you can't see the bottom from the top. So it depends on the situation, but I think generally I like to get a couple boats down and get your strongest boaters down first, and then you have people on shore with throw bags and boats in the water, or even if it's just boats in the water. That and they're strong boaters.
I do kind of like that at really hard runs, at really hard rapids, just having your two strongest go first, and then them, because you know they're most likely to get through. So you have two of them downstream, ready to pick up other people, and then you have them in small groups. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. While you know, typically when you're running downstream, you do want a strong boater towards the back of the group as well. Actually, I'd probably still put my strongest 1-2 just running downstream, particularly high water.
Well, then if one flips, the other one's there to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the boats come down, if there's a flip, those two boaters, if they're strong, they know when to leave the eddy to like get in front and pull people in. A lot of times, if it's not a strong boater, the flip will come down and they'll pull out right as they go by, and then they're gone. So it's somebody who you know can time when to leave the eddy to pull people in and be there. And so I like the time the video we showed, that was me and you running first. Right, we were looking out for each other. We probably didn't even have a throwback at the bottom because I'm just like, we knew that we could look out for each other in that situation. But if the Illinois was 3,000, because the worst case scenario there is one of us flips and the boat gets stuck on a rock. If it's 3,000,
I think someone had a throwback at the bottom for that though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I guess.
I think. I mean, I may be wrong, but I believe so. So,
but Aaron, that question at the Illinois, if it's 3,000 or 4,000, if it's really high, maybe I run together, because if one of the first two boats flips, they're gone. There's no getting that boat to shore, and then you're like, hey, we're gonna be a moving downstream team that's gonna deal with whatever pops up. That's why you don't run the Illinois at 4,000 commercially, though.
Oh. Yeah, we did a guide trip at high water once, and it was fun, but yeah.
But that's at those higher flows. That's why you have safety cats, safety kayaks, because the train's gonna move so far past. We're at 650 as the two of us. If one of us flips it, the boat's gonna get stuck somewhere on a rock. It's not gonna go a mile.
And you only have one, and whatever, you only have one person to rescue. You know what I mean? Like whatever, the other's gear. Like if I flip, you're like, where's Aaron? I don't, whatever. Well, you might be like, that's my boat. Aaron, you better.
Well, no, but if you flip it low water, the boat just is going to go and get stuck, and we'll get it.
Yeah,
if you flow at 3,000, that boat might end up at the ocean.
Yeah.
And like, you need that stuff for the trip. People's stuff is on there.
Speaking of catching a setting safety and throw bags, one of the things I feel like I see fairly often is people setting safety up higher than I'm comfortable. Like too close to the bottom of the rapid. And I'd rather be situated a little farther downstream. Yeah, it's cool to catch that high eddy and be right up there in your boat, look all cool.
Oh, yeah.
But in general, I like being a little lower, where the rivers calm down a little more. So it's easier to time to pull out in front. You can make more adjustments. It's easier to pick people up, and you can kind of keep everything in front of you. Whereas if you're farther upstream, a lot of times that's more challenging.
Yeah, like if you're pulling out into current, it's hard to pull people in.
Like a Clavey, I would say a Clavey right below Dinosaur Rock on River Left. That's a fun eddy to catch.
It doesn't help at all.
Yeah, you're way better off being the next eddy down. Yeah.
Yeah, if they flip in the hole and you're below Dinosaur Rock, you're not going to get there in time.
Yeah.
But I think cool. Of being it is cool. Like a catcher's mitt. How can I get out in front of everything? Where can I be that if I see something happen, I can be out in front of everything and nothing is going to pass me? And so if you're too high up, things happen really fast and somebody could pass you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like boat experience. Like we said, yeah, first and second, I think in general is where I want my two most, particularly for high water. Particularly high water. Low water, it's a little bit. Low water, sometimes I want someone good in the back just because the boat the second to last boat wraps. I want someone in the back to help them get that off and keep things going, like a low water Tuolumne trip. But at high water, I'm not really worried about somebody getting caught up someplace. Like it's all going to be flowing downstream. It's going to come to you. And you want that catcher's mitt to be as strong as possible downstream.
And Alex, I think it depends on a lot of factors. Are you rafting or kayaking? Are you ducking? Are you supping? Like, has a high water, low water? What's everybody's familiarity level with the river? And then is more experience matter, or does skill level matter? Like, just because I've been kayaking for 25 years doesn't mean I'm the most skilled kayaker. So like maybe I shouldn't go first down hard runs. So like I think it depends on a lot of factors. I think in general, for me, I want the most experienced person. In general, this is among all things, but it could change depending on one of those factors. The most experienced person in the lead. Because if they swim, they don't have a downstream safety net. Their downstream safety net is the second boat behind them. And I want that person now has to catch up with them, which is a hard task. So I generally want the best person in the front because they're least likely to fall out, and the second best right behind them so they can catch them, knowing that 1 and 2 can catch anything that comes down to them. Because I'm always thinking about downstream safety. Like, how do we keep swimmers getting ahead of everybody? So that's why I choose to do that. But it depends on a million factors. And low water is different, completely different.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm going to say, Zach, going second and being a good second is harder than rowing first. It's more challenging. Like, you want your better person up front, but running second tight is more challenging than running first. You're less exposed, but it's a harder job to do right.
Yeah, it's safer because you're not first, but being that close and being able, and then if they flip, being able to catch them is hard.
Yeah,
and it takes a good person. Like, I think also like choosing who's the best is hard. You don't just, like, we talked about this before. You don't just have all your friends you're boating with and you're like, all right, you're number 1, you're number 2, you're number 3, you're number 4. Like, you know, if Aaron and I went boating, we would both think we're individually the best. I'd be like, yeah, I know. I'll go first. Aaron's like, no, Zach.
I would be like, Zach, go first. That's what I would say.
Because you want to be safer.
Yeah, because I'll follow you down and then I'll see you go the wrong way and I'll be like, oh, I'm not doing that. Send the probe. Yeah, I'm very willing to. I don't need to go first. I'm all about protecting myself.
But I think
it's all about this guy.
If you take your group of friends, you can't always identify who's the best either. Like,
well, and it depends, like, who's got more knowledge on the river, on that run, at those flows that day, who's been paddling more recently. There's a lot of variables involved. So, and who knows the group, more people in the group. Like, you might be the most experienced by far, but then I know the group way better. And you're like, no, Aaron, you know the group better. I'll be your number 2 if you want, but you know the group. So, you know, something like that too. Like, there's a lot of variables to plug in.
And like a green wall, like, you know how you and I went 1-2 to be close. Well, I might put a less experienced person at 1 if they're in a cat boat, a safety cat.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody way less experienced. Like, hey, they're not very likely to flip in a safety cat, right? Where the gear boats are a bit harder. So I put several times the way less experienced person out front because the craft is way easier.
Yeah, totally.
I got some. We gotta probably wrap this up soon, but I got. Okay. I hate to see rookies failing a desperate attempt to keep order. Yeah, that's interesting. When you know how sometimes people are just like, everybody, you're number 2, you're number 3.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, I agree and disagree with the statement. I'll say, yes, I think some people can be way too aggro, like, you got to be in your place. It's like, yeah, sometimes you catch some slow water, go with it and switch spots. And just switch spots and deal with it, particularly at high water. Don't try to force it, for sure. That being said, you know, for the river, you should be able to, like, maintain a boat order. And if you can't, I don't know. I got some concerns about it.
Yeah, the thing is, I get sometimes it doesn't matter at all. Like, sometimes you're just out with friends and it's super easy. Everybody's in their level and somebody's like, make sure you stay in your order. But it's also, and so it's annoying to me too sometimes
Yeah.
But it's how you learn to do it as well. It's like you're practicing it. You're practicing it on when it doesn't matter for when it does matter. If you're always like, hey guys, this is stupid, we don't need to do boat order, then when you need to do it, people are like, what are you talking about? And so I'm a fan of practicing even when it doesn't matter. All right, I got some video to go with some of this. I think. Can you hear the audio?
Yeah, a little bit.
Hold on. I'm gonna turn it down. I don't know if it matters. This is. I don't know if this is. Oops, hold on. Shoot. This isn't scouting, but it's a rescue.
Yeah, why don't you turn down the volume? It's a really annoying volume. Yeah.
I thought this would be fun to watch. It's an Avon. Look at that. It's a beautiful Avon.
Yeah, that's nice. That's one of those good years. I like with the wrap all over on the top.
I sure miss those boats, man. That's just a solid boat. I think if they could still make those boats new, I'd still be running those.
Yeah, they were a really good boat. It's amazing how they were like the standard of the industry for so long, and then just kind of stopped.
What's the standard of the industry now? What do you think?
I don't think there is one.
No wind sweep footage this week. It's
yeah. What's going
we don't
on
have
with that, Zach?
We don't have the sweep, and we don't have any water in the wind. So that's not going to happen. But thanks for asking. I don't know, maybe this is all the video's about. I can't remember.
Did you skip Alex's comment on purpose? The one about?
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. Yes, I should have. I say this to people who haven't heard it before.
This is, I'm going to say, Alex, if you've never rode with them before, do you even know them? Which I've seen so many Grand Canyon trips that are a mess because people don't get along and they get into fights and they get weird dynamics in 2 weeks down there. So I'll just say, not that this helps you at all at this point, is like I prefer to just do private Grand Canyon trips with people I know and I trust, because the boating is just the smallest part of all that. Just seeing too many weird dynamics come up down there. But that's rough. I might try to get on the water with them beforehand if you can. If possible. I don't know if that is.
Or you might be signing up for an adventure.
There we go. The Zach Collier Adventure Special.
Might be on an adventure.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is perfectly fine. Okay, so this video, I gotta say, going into this, I like their boat spacing. Like boat 2 is right behind boat 1. Like you can maybe be a little closer, but that's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Oh, and this boat 1 slowed down, so it was good they had that space. Yeah, look at how close they got in the rapid. So that spacing was perfect. That's just good guiding right there. That's just like good old, like they know what they're doing.
I thought this was gonna be some NASCAR.
What do you mean NASCAR? Now the next boats are way back, but I think that's okay. Like boats 1 and 2 were looking out for each other.
Yeah.
And boat 3, I mean, that's pretty far back. I'd rather not.
And there's a huge eddy down here, so you can regroup. And there's tons of kayakers and boats down here to help out.
Yeah, but do you really want all these people helping out with their swimmers? It'd just be a disaster.
No, but they're going to anyways.
You don't know what they're gonna do, and I'd rather just clean up the mess on my own. Because if something happens, I don't really want to get all these boaters involved. That's how you lose somebody. Like a private boater on the side pulls somebody in, and you're like, "Where's Johnny?" Okay, so we have flip boat, swimmers everywhere. Now this boat does a good job pulling out in the right time.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. The other boat pulled out too early. We're talking about when to pull out. Hold on, maybe not. Oh no, they were floating by already. Sorry. So that boat is coming down. And then there's the flip boat. Yeah, okay, this is right. They're trying to eddy out. So I mean, this is really impressive. This is hard timing. Like they leave.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a good job of getting out in front of the swimmers, like being that downstream safety net and being ready to pull them all in.
That penalty made me a little nervous how quickly they're coming towards the raft. But
yeah, do you see this line right here, this flip line?
Yeah.
What do you think of that flip line?
I think that would work. I haven't seen that specific one. I've seen some similar ones. Are they going to? Hopefully, they're going to the D ring. It looks like. Yeah, that looks like that works.
It's kind of cool. It's that thicker strap too. It's probably easier to grab than the thinner strap. And that's what you do. You get on the boat that fast. Like if you're a good guide, that's what you do. Or boater. Now it looks like she's trying to find her flip line. And this other boat's pulling the swimmers in, like brilliant. This is the clip on the D ring kind of flip line.
She goes. Yep. Let go. Upstream side.
She's waiting for a good spot to do it where she's not going to take a nasty swim, I think. Boom. Look at that thwart came out.
Yeah.
These were the years of Avons where break a lot. The handles broke. You can see the handle broke on that boat.
Yeah.
The handles break a lot. No, that's pretty sweet. That's a good example of how a rescue is supposed to be done.
Yeah, that worked out great.
And then they eddy out, and then people get back in the boat, and they just keep going downstream. Of course, that thwart broke. You see, the thwart broke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's a Avon issue, not a. Yeah. Somehow she held onto her paddle too. Nicely done.
The guide held on, like getting in the boat.
She's got her guide. I don't know if she has her guide paddle still. So.
There's no paddle there. Which, I mean, it's an IRF standard to have your paddle, but does it really matter?
It's helpful.
For what?
When you flip back over, you climb back in and you have a paddle.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Well, there's people everywhere.
And I will say this. Ideally, you have two spare paddles in your paddle boat.
So you can just pull one out.
Yeah, and then two spares. That way, if you get two people up there, two people with two paddles, you can act like a little oar boat, if nothing else, and just get it downstream if everyone else loses their paddle. So.
All right.
Cool.
I have one more video for you. We'll shut this one down.
Okay.
Share screen. I got a pack raft, Aaron.
Oh.
This is me pack rafting.
On the wind?
No. On the white salmon. The wind's too low.
Oh,
Check it out.
Yeah, nice. It looks like you're running a drone over the now with the paddle it doesn't anymore. But
no, I have a GoPro on my head.
How did it run for you?
It's fine. It's definitely not my preferred method of boating. I only ran this one day. It's a little clumsy, and I wouldn't say it was fun. At times I was like, I'm just in this like floaty things, this pool toy.
So would you put? I mean, how much weight did you have in it?
Just me.
I think they handle better with some weight in them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think they particularly in the bottom, they're just more stable. They punch through stuff a little bit better. Yeah, I like them with a little weight in them. I feel like it's less of a pool toy. Yeah, but how would it relate? How would you compare it to your back rafts?
I mean, it has those like 4-point knee things you talk about.
Yeah.
So the knee braces were better than the back rafts. It just feels like it's because I was doing rock spins on it a few times and everything. You're gonna pop that thing, and I'm like, it better be durable enough to do rock spins. But you worry about its durability. Where the back rafts, I'm not as worried. I think I have more fun in a back raft. I think. Because I feel like you can edge it better and I don't know, do more with it.
Is this a skirted one or is this a self-bailer?
Self-bailer. So I did flip, or maybe not get that far. I took a nice swim. I took a really nice swim. But look, I was able to catch this little eddy, which was kind of cool. Like it is pretty maneuverable.
Mm-hmm. Did you try to roll it?
No. I don't think I can. I don't think I can.
Really?
But it was cool to get in one. I mean, I've kind of been, I really think that the back rafts personally are superior for like these hiking runs. So I'm trying to give it like a good effort and see if I like it.
Does this one have a zipper so you can store stuff inside it?
I got the zippers. I got bags that go. I got all the stuff. I got the bags that go inside of it so I can put stuff in bags inside of it. I've got has a little bow bag. If you can see, it has a little bag on the bow. It's fully set up for overnight trips. So I want to use it for one of those epic, like backpacking.
I mean,
alpaca trip.
I think, Zach, I think the coolest thing about this is like, let's just say we're like, hey, let's go down to Ecuador and go run some rivers. We can fly down with these and go run rivers.
No,
go...
I'm not going to do that.
What would you do instead?
I'd rent a kayak. It's just not that fun.
Really?
Like, I don't. Yeah, like I didn't have that much fun paddling it. It was fine. Here I am swimming.
Oh.
It was. I'm not jazzed to go out pack rafting. Like I would if we were hiking in 15 miles and doing some super remote section and doing something super cool.
So if we were going to go do the headwaters of the Kern,
a back raft, because it's hard. The headwaters of the Kern's hard. I think this thing for whitewater isn't as good as the back raft. Oh, that's somebody else. Yeah, somebody watched the video. It has thigh straps, no skirt. I use the F word after my flip. I use like, yeah. Because it like in that ferry, every time I kayak, I do it 10 times. It's a ferry I practice. It's always fun. I flip there once in a while, but pretty rarely. So my third time across to flip is just sort of frustrating.
Did you not get your weight enough on the downstream tube?
I did something.
See, I think that's one of those things too, Zach. When the boat's a little heavier, it sits in the water a little more. It's easier to push an edge down a little bit more. If but you're a big guy. I think that you'd be able to.
I mean, I was doing very fast ferries. Like I wasn't setting. I was just like in a kayak, you can just ferry. I was trying to test it. Like, can I just jump in that and just figure it out? And it took a little bit more.
Oh, here you are running. Okay, here's Husum, right?
And this is fun.
Oh, that looks nice.
I get
that looked really smooth.
A little proof. That was fun. I would run waterfalls in it. I think if it was like a waterfall run, it could be pretty fun. Not like 20 footers, but like a lot of 10 footers and stuff like that.
Really,
like little drops, like forks of the Dry Meadow Creek into the Kern.
Yeah,
maybe that.
Really?
Yikes. Yeah, because the hike in for Dry Meadow Creek is pretty brutal. And in a kayak, if you flip there, you can't miss your roll. Whereas if you you know what I mean, like some runs where I'd rather just swim than flip sometimes, but I'm more likely to flip in the ducky.
Does that have something for your feet to push off of?
Kind of. But what was funny is my friend Howard had never seen one, and so you know how there's the zipper in the back you used, or the zipper in the back for the gear.
Yeah. He
comes up to me, he's like, "What's this?" and starts to pull it. I was like, "Stop." Because you can pull the zipper and the thing will just sink.
Yeah. Empty out.
I mean, he wasn't messing with me. He was serious. He was like, "What's this zipper?" And he's about to open it just to like see what the zipper was for. That could get you into trouble.
Wow.
Like that's a fun prank for your friends when they're out pack rafting. Just pull the zipper and make them sink.
Wow. Yeah.
But
well, you'll have to try it some more runs and see how it goes, and try it with some weight in it. I think that's
but to carry weight. I mean, to carry weight just to do a day run is silly.
No. Like do a trip with it. And
I need to do a trip with it. That's what I wanted. I mean, that's why I got it, was to like back. I'm not like, let's say the Chetco, for example. After that experience, I would not want to run that pack raft on the Chetco. Like I would if I had to, but I'd rather have a back raft.
I feel like the pack rafts are better for higher volume runs.
Yeah. When you're hitting rocks and things. The Grand Canyon, I can't imagine running the Grand Canyon, that thing. I would swim a lot. And I don't know, just all that flat water sounds not fun.
No, they aren't fun. That's a good point. The flat water is they don't paddle flat water very well. When we did the Franklin, the paddle out at the end was like...
Yeah, that sounds awful. Where the kayak is doable. Waterfall drops. I could get into that. If there was like a nice little like bloop, bloop, bloop waterfall thing. I'm thinking about maybe running the wind in it this winter. I don't know if that's a good idea or even sounds fun, but it'd be fun to test it there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just, yeah, it's cool. I have one now. I can stop bad mouthing them, making fun of people that have them, and I'll probably take it out here and there, and hopefully it'd be fun to do like a really cool backpacking trip with it. So
I think that's the question: is where can we go with those that we have? We haven't gone. Like, there's got to be a lot of cool runs out there to access.
I mean, there's some other stuff in the Kalmiopsis I've done, but I would be more likely to do again with that because it's not so heavy.
Like, would you giant gap at low water or go open and do generation then giant gap at low water? Didn't hike in with that.
No, I wouldn't do anything harder than class 4-. I just don't think it. I mean, I know people do harder stuff in it, but I just don't think it was that reliable for anything super hard. I mean, the back raft, yes, because I feel like it acts more like. Maybe I know it better. I know how to run it.
How many days do you have on it, Zach?
1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think you need a little more time in it before you get to that conclusion.
But I'd rather if it's whitewater, I'd rather have a ducky. Like, you know what I mean? Than I don't know. I wish they would make a ducky, like a back raft out of that material with the zippers. Like, I mean, part of me thinks they're just trying to be cute by making them have that unique design. Like, why not make a regular ducky out of that thin material and have the zipper thing so you can store the stuff in those tubes? Like, I almost feel like the back raft design, the alpaca design, this is just my take, is hurting it. Like, it's trying too hard to stay to its traditional look and feel. But again, this is after 1 day of boating it.
Well, it's purposely big in the back so you don't do it flip over backwards, right?
Yeah, but you could just make the boat longer so it doesn't do the same. The boat I have is like,
and then it's fast, and then it's faster.
Yeah,
it's probably heavier, but it's probably heavier. It takes more material.
No, the boat I got, I think, is let me look it up. I think it's actually 9 feet long. I think it's the same. It's long. I think it's the same length. I'm trying to look it up on the website right now. Let me share this while I do this. I think it's the same length as I should not just make this up because that could be true, but I got the extra long self bailer. I got this color. That's the bad boy right there. Does it have the stats here somewhere? Product description. Sizing. Here we go. Oh, geez. Sizing. Okay. Extra large. Exterior length. 100 inches. What's 100 inches? 100 divided by 12. 8.3 feet. So I think that my back raft, let's look up a air back raft. That was 8 feet something. Okay, so there's two length sizes of this. The tube, the length is that's the short. The short one's 7 feet. I think the long one's actually 10 feet. Now that I think
it said 10 feet right there. You went past it. There was a 10 feet. There was 10 feet.
Yeah, so it is longer. You're right.
Oh no, sorry, that was 10 inches. I'm my mistake.
But weight wise, it's not that far. Wait, power. Sure. The other thing that made me nervous about it, Aaron, was it's just one chamber.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the back rafts are too. So, like it's to save weight, but man, that thing just seems like it could pop, and then. And people run these all over the world doing cool stuff, and so I know it's doable. But
like, let's just say it had 2 chambers, just for whatever. Okay, a chamber on the left and a chamber on the right. Great, you pop one. What are you going to do now? You're still hosed.
Better than sinking.
You're not going to sink. You got the floor. Your floor is inflated.
Oh yeah. What if there's a bunch of
and Zach, you've got those bags inside there that are full of stuff, and those have a lot of air in. The bags will float too. So it's like float bags inside there.
Maybe.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
Now I know you guys are just making fun of me. This whole that's bad. I mean, imagine if alpaca made rafts. Would that be cool if there was like a 12-foot raft out of that material? That you could do the zipper thing and stuff inside?
Remember they used to make the thwarts.
But
I think the zipper thwart is way better than the zippered outside. Just zipper thwarts, put some stuff in each thwart, and away you go.
Yeah. But my first take was it wasn't as fun as I thought it might be. Like I wish I was in a kayak. I like testing it. I like learning about them. That's fun for me. Houston was way more fun in the pack raft than a kayak actually because it was new. But the rest of the time I just felt like I was bobbing down the river.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm curious to hear you try it when it's loaded and like do a self-support kayak trip and then do a self-support pack raft trip, and I bet the pack raft's gonna be more fun.
I mean, I'm not going to do the I'm not going to take the pack raft on a trip unless I have to hike in. There's no way I'm going to.
I understand that.
It has to be hiking. There's no way.
Hiking one. Do a self-support whitewater kayak trip and then do a self-support pack raft trip where you have to hike in and use it. And I think I'd rather self-support out of a pack raft than out of a kayak these days.
You have to blow it up every day. What do you use the bag? Do you have the whole bag thing? It goes shh, and then do the.
The bag's actually pretty easy to use once you figure it out.
I didn't use the bag. I used the pump, but then I had to top it off with my mouth. You top it off by pumping it up with your mouth.
Why don't you just have your little
fitting doesn't fit.
The K pump doesn't.
I was able to get volume in it with that, but it's a different fitting.
You know what I'm going to say here? I'm going to drop the Kokopelli bomb. Kokopelli's got the standard rafting valves on it, so it's way easier to use for topping.
But how do you pump it up without a K pump?
Oh, they have a bag too, and then they have
the K pump.
Yeah,
but that's just heavier. Those valves are heavier.
They are a little heavier, but it's meant more for whitewater, I think, and it's really easy to pop. And then when you can top it off with the K pump, you can get it nice and firm. So it's not soft and all. It's like a firm boat. And then you just put your K pump in your little bag, your bow bag.
Yeah, the bow bag is sweet. Actually, that's my favorite part because I could just zip and grab things out in and out the whole time. It's this waterproof bow bag was sweet. I mean, I feel like the alpaca is so simple and light. It's really good for those, like, you're gonna hike 30 miles with it on your back. The Kokopelli, I feel like, isn't as simple and light and well thought out, so it's more of a whitewater boat.
I think that's a definitely true. I think the Kokopelli is more designed for whitewater.
But they should just take it like a more of a whitewater design. Like they're trying to be more be more pack rafty.
Well,
they could be longer. I mean, if they're gonna go, make them longer, make them a little bit more like traditional whitewater boats.
I think actually Kokopelli's forced pack raft to make better whitewater boats. I think Kokopelli was starting to make inroads on them there, and then like Kokopelli wasn't doing the self bailer, pack raft wasn't back raft or whatever they're called. Back raft, what are they called?
Back raft.
Back raft wasn't doing a self bailer, and then Kokopelli was, and so they had to do.
No, back rafts are always been self bailers.
Oh, not back raft. What am I talking about? Alpacas.
Sorry. Oh yeah.
No. I think sorry. Yeah, what I said was totally wrong. Let me rephrase. I think Kokopelli is forced alpaca to make better whitewater boats because they're kind of undermining them there a little bit because they were doing it better. Their designs are better.
You told me this, and a few other people told me that like some of the best pack rafters, they're choosing the self bailers.
Yeah.
Like the skirt, the idea of the skirt is to be more like a kayak. I think they're trying to be more and more and more like a kayak, and I just don't think it's like a kayak. It's just like I thought it would be more like a kayak. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool. It's gonna be more like a kayak. I thought it was gonna be edge a little. I mean, kind of edge, but to me, it's not. It's not.
No, it's a pool toy. It's a pool toy.
Yeah,
and I feel like you want the skirt if you get cold easily. You want the skirt if you're in cold weather. It's nice.
I think people think they can roll it. I think that's why they like the skirt because they think they can roll it.
I think the self bailer is easier to roll than the skirted one.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's actually true, but it's not. I don't think
everybody kept asking me to roll it. I'm like, I have zero interest in rolling this. This thing, it's so wide.
Yeah,
so wide.
Blow out your shoulder.
Yeah. All right, I got to go. Let's close this thing down.
Yeah, it was a great episode. Hey, you guys, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so, please hit that like button. Now that you're liking Gear Garage instead of Northwest Rafting, be sure to.
Hey, but Northwest Rafting Company does have a YouTube channel back. I made a new one, so don't hesitate to like that too. I only have 2 subscribers. So if you subscribe to Gear Garage, thank you. But if you want to be the 3rd subscriber to Northwest Rafting Company's
channel, that's some street cred right there. You can be the 3rd subscriber ever to Northwest Rafting site.
Yep.
Yeah. Are we going to be back here again next week, Zach?
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
We need video though. So if we don't get video ideas, it's going to be a lot of wind footage.
Lots of wind and maybe some more sweep footage. I think the sweep footage is worse than the wind. Most people are concerned about sweep. So, oh, look, there you go, Sean. Cool. There it is. You're the second one. Hey, guys, thanks for all your comments today. This was a really fun show. It was really interesting hearing everyone's thoughts on scouting and how they handle it and setting safety and all that stuff. It was a really neat show. So thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
Yep. See you next week.
See you next week.